Hello, 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 hello. Hey, you guys. Um, we are open, but this is just a palate cleanser. Also, I just wanted to try this because Scott keeps bothering me about Encyclopedia Brown. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna just try something. So I'm not gonna retail. I'm gonna, read the book to you guys like we're at the library. Remember when they used to do book reading at the library? So I'm gonna do that because they're, like with Encyclopedia Brown, it's like a bunch of different little short stories. So how I'm gonna do it? I'm gonna read it to you. I'm gonna give my reaction like right then and there, like whatever pops up in my mind, and we'll just go from there and see how it feels. What say you, Scott?
Sounds good to me.
Scott makes me watch shows and makes me do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He likes the way I talk about stuff. It's kind of weird. But here we go. So it's gonna be Encyclopedia Brown Boy Detective. And we're just gonna read. Now, let me tell you, let me set the scene. I gotta set the scene. This look right here. Okay, y'all see this look? This look is, TT. Okay, TT. So I'm just the auntie of LeRoy Jenkins Brown. And I'm just gonna, read y'all the stories about him. LeRoy Jenkins Brown. Did you know his name, LeRoy Jenkins Brown?
I knew it at some point. I forgot about that.
I put the Jenkins in there. I feel like it's just as good a name as any. So it's not, his middle name is not Jenkins. I just threw that in there because it felt right. It slips off the tongue.
Okay.
So we're gonna read about him. I am just TT Honey. Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm still TT from the block, honey. Yes, that's what this look is giving. She's still TT from the block to LeRoy Jenkins Brown. Okay, so here we go. You ready for this first one?
I'm ready.
Now, the first one doesn't have a case to solve. The second one does. So I'm going to get to the second one. Also, just a little FYI, Auntie TT cooking. She making a tamale pie. So TT might have to pop up and check on that pie. I don't know if y'all were raised like that. Scott, when you would go to your auntie's house, would she be cooking and talking to you?
No, I've never been to an auntie's house like that before.
Well, my auntie would. She'd be talking and cooking and watching a show and doing like 50 things all at once. So that's normal for me. So just get ready for that. That's the kind of TT I am. I'm TT from the block.
Right.
The Bronx. Does that sound like J-Lo?
Sure.
I know. Okay, so the first one is called The Case of Natty Nat Honey. Natty Nat. And I ain't making that name up. That's just the case. The case of Natty Nat. See that scotch?
All right.
Mr. and Mr. Brown had one child. They call him LeRoy Jenkins Brown. No, it just says they called him LeRoy. And so did his teachers. Everyone else in Idaville called him Encyclopedia. Now, this is for those who did not grow up on encyclopedias, because we realize and acknowledge that not everybody grew up on encyclopedias. Okay, I grew up on them. Scott, did you have encyclopedias?
Yeah, not like different kinds of like animal encyclopedias, but I mean, if I needed like the Encyclopedia Britannica, I'd just go to the library.
He grew up on them, but somebody born in 2000 probably didn't. So we gonna just let it explain what this is. An encyclopedia is a book or a set of books giving information arranged alphabetically on all branches of knowledge. LeRoy Brown's head was like an encyclopedia. It was filled with facts he had learned from books. He was like a complete library walking around in sneakers. Again, this predates, I can't say it because it'll come on, or Alexa, all that. Girl, this is predating that. He was that before that. Old ladies who did crossword puzzles were always stopping him on the street to ask him questions. Just last Sunday after church, Miss Conway, the butcher's wife, had asked him, "Oh, is that even a proper sentence?" Had asked him.
Yeah.
Okay, Scott deems it yes. What is a three-letter word for a Swiss river beginning with the A? What is it, Scott? Scott's an
Swiss
encyclopedia.
River beginning with A.
Yeah.
Not up on my Swiss rivers.
Me either. I do proper. TT do proper English, honey. Yes, honey. She doing proper English. Anyway, AR is like AAR, like AARP, but just take out the P.
Okay.
Period. Encyclopedia answered after a moment. He always waited a moment. He wanted to be helpful, but he was afraid that people might not like him if he answers their questions too quickly and sounded too smart. His father asked him more questions than anyone else. Mr. Brown was the chief of police of Idaville. The town had 4 banks, 3 movie theaters, and a little league. Period.
3 movie theaters. Wow.
They had a lot. Dang. But you got to think this is like back in the day where you didn't have Netflix.
When they only had it's just like one movie at a theater.
Well, no, that was all they had. They didn't have cable. What did you do on Saturday? Took your family to the movies.
Yeah,
You need 3.
3 movie theaters in one town.
Scott's a hater. Wait. Okay, we went over that. It had the usual number of gasoline stations, churches, schools, stores, and comfortable houses on shady streets. It had a mansion or 2 and some dingy sections. They talking about the other side of the tracks. And it had an average number of crimes for a community of its size. Idaville, however, only looked like the usual American town. It was really most unusual. Okay, hey.
Okay.
They got something weird going on. There's something strange up in the neighborhood, honey. Who you gonna call? LeRoy Jenkins Brown and his auntie. Hey, how you doing? You got an uncle? So anyway, for nearly a whole year, no criminal had escaped arrest, or no boy or girl had got away with breaking a single law in Idaville. Period. I wonder why. Was Sherlock there?
Next best thing.
Okay, period. This was partly because of the town's policemen were clever and brave, but mostly it was because Chief Brown was Encyclopedia Brown's father. Period. You better use them children, honey. He's like, I pay the bills. You gonna help me solve these crimes. Okay, wait. Let's take a pause for the cause. Let's make sure I ain't burning nothing today. Oh, honey. Yeah, see, y'all almost had me on one. Okay, pause for the cause, y'all. Pause for the cause. Oh, yeah, we're right where we need to be. And since y'all were so patient, this is tamale pie. I'm gonna brush that sucker with some honey butter and yes, honey. Okay, so anyway, back to what we were doing. My little nephew, LeRoy Jenkins Brown.
That old school song back in the 60s or something.
What?
Bad LeRoy Brown.
It might have been. That was way before my time. Way before it. Even though a lot of songs be before my time, but that one I don't know. His hardest cases were solved by Encyclopedia during dinner at the Browns' brick red house on Rover Avenue. Everyone in the state thought Idaville had the smartest policemen in the world. Of course, nobody knew a boy was the mastermind behind the town's police force. You wouldn't guess it by looking at the Encyclopedia. He looked like almost any 5th grade boy and acted like one too, except he never talked about himself. Mr. Brown never said a word about the advice his son gave him. Who would believe the best detective is only 10 years old? Who would? This is how it began. One evening at dinner, Mr. Brown said, Natty Nat has struck again. He has held up another store, and right here in Idaville. What store, Dad? Said Encyclopedia. The men's store owned by Mr. Dillon and Mr. Jones, answered Mr. Brown. That makes 6 stores Natty Nat had held up in this state this month. Natty Nat on a run, honey. Natty Nat doing it, baby. Are you sure the robber was Natty Nat? Said Encyclopedia. Mr. Dillon himself said it was Natty Nat, replied Mr. Brown. He pulled a notebook from his pocket and put it beside his plate. I wrote down everything Mr. Dillon told me about the holdup. I'll read it to you. Encyclopedia closed his eyes. He over here copying off of Sherlock. That's what Sherlock be doing. You're not going to plagiarize my boo. He always closed his eyes when he was getting ready to think hard. His father began to read what Mr. Dillon, the storekeeper, had told him about the holdup. I was alone in the store. I did not know anyone had came in. He probably didn't sound like that, but if it was me telling it, that's how I would give him a little drama. Okay. Because your store got robbed. Suddenly, a man's voice told me to raise my hands. I looked up then. I was face to face with the man that the newspaper called Natty Nasty Natty Nat. I would add in the nasty part just to really like, honey, he was all up in my face. He nasty. He triple N's. He had on a gray coat with a belt in the back. Just as the newspaper said. I guess he don't change his clothes.
Gotta have your Robin clothes.
Okay. He told me to turn and face the wall. Since he had a gun, I did what he said. When I turned around again, he was gone with all the money, my Picasso, my Bentley. What? It just says money. But I mean, you might as well just splurge. What? I'm like, the Sistine Chapel that was up on my wall, Michelangelo came here in a time machine. Like, just see what they'll accept. Mm-hmm. Anyway, whatever. Chief Brown finished reading and closed his notebook. Encyclopedia asked only one question. Did the newspaper ever print a picture of Natty Nat? Nasty Natty Nat? No, answered his father. He never stands long enough for a picture to be taken. Yeah, like back then, who is just standing there posing, voguing, like, yes, take my picture. I'm a robber. They didn't have cameras back then. Why would you be voguing? Why would you be posing for pictures? Remember, he's never been caught. But every police in the state knows he always wears that gray coat with a belt in the back. Nobody even knows his real name, said Encyclopedia half to himself. Nasty Natty Nat is just what the newspapers call him. Suddenly, his eyes opened. Boom. He was like Whitney on, I Will Always Love You. Remember, she was sitting in that chair like, and then that beat dropped and she's like, boom. And I feel like he did that. Okay. Scott, remember she was sitting there and then she was like, boom. And I feel like that's kind of what Encyclopedia did when he opened his eyes. No, it said suddenly he opened his eyes. So, like Whitney did. Boom. And yes, LeRoy, honey. Say the only reason Mr. Miller thought it was Natty Nat was because of that gray coat, he said. The case is solved. There is nothing to solve, objected Chief Brown. There is no mystery. Mr. Dillon was robbed. The holdup man was the same one who had been robbing the other stores in the state. See, this is where people just be trying to hurry up and get stuff done and be rushing. And I feel like that's what the daddy's doing. He over here arguing with the son who he be getting all the answers from. But okay, whatever. Okay. Is this what you want to do? Because if I was the Encyclopedia, I'm like, oh, okay, you want to argue? Don't be asking me about no more of your cases. Period. But okay, let's get back to like what actually happened, not what I wish would happen. Wait, okay, I forgot my place. I done got so far. Okay, not quite, said Encyclopedia. There was no hold up at the men's store. What do you mean? Exclaimed Mr. Brown. Oh, wait, let me redo that. Act like I didn't say that. What do you mean? Said Mr. Brown. Wait, Scott, did you see me? Okay, wait. What do you mean? Okay. I mean, Mr. Dillon wasn't robbed, Dad. He lied from beginning to the end, answered the Encyclopedia. Why should Mr. Dillon lie? Demanded his father. I guess he spent the money. He didn't want his partner, Mr. Jones, to know it was missing, said Encyclopedia. So Mr. Dillon said he was robbed. Wait, that's a lot of allegations and just be throwing on somebody. Like, sir, you better have some evidence for that. That'll get you sued. LeRoy, said his mother, please explain what you are saying. It's simple, Mom, said Encyclopedia. Mr. Dillon read all about Mr. Nasty Natty Nat in the newspapers. So he knew Natty Nat always wore a gray coat with a belt in the back when he held up stores. Go on, LeRoy, Mr. Brown leaning forward. Mr. Dillon knew it would sound much better if he could blame his holdup on someone people have read about, said Encyclopedia. He said he knew it was Natty Nat because of the coat he wore. That could be true, Mr. Brown said. That couldn't be true, said Encyclopedia Brown. Mr. Dillon never saw the back of the man who held him up. Remember, he said so himself. Mr. Brown frowned. He picked up his notebook again. He read to himself for a while. Then he fairly shouted, LeRoy, I believe you are right. Because remember, he had to turn he heard a voice. He heard a voice. And he saw a gun and he just turned around. So how you know what that man back looked like? Encyclopedia said, Mr. Dillon only saw the front of the hold-up man. He had no way of knowing that the man's coat had a belt in the back. He stole money from his own store and from his partner too, cried Chief Brown, and he nearly got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Period. LeRoy Jenkins Brown. He rushed from the dining room. LeRoy, said Mrs. Brown, did you get this idea from a television program? Girl, where have you been? Girl, your son is a whole genius, and you talking about did you get it from TV? Girl, do you even know your children, ma'am? Do you, ma'am? That's my question to LeRoy Jenkins Brown mama. Clearly, she's not my sister. I'm the brother, the daddy, my brother child. I'm not related to her side of the family. No, said Encyclopedia. I got it from a book I read about a great detective and his methods of observation. You know who he paying homage to. You know who he paying homage to, Scott. You know who he giving it up to. My boo thing, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Oh my God. I'm blushing. Okay. Mom. Oh, wait. Sorry, I skipped a paragraph. Well, said his mother proudly, this proves how important it is to listen carefully and watch closely to train your memory. Perhaps you will be a detective when you grow up. Mom, said Encyclopedia, can I have another piece of pie? Miss Brown sighed. She had taught English in the Idaville High School before her marriage. You may have another piece of pie, she said. Period. What did you think about that, Scott?
That Encyclopedia, you saw it.
I'm proud of little nephew. Okay, I'm gonna read one more, and then I gotta go put some butter on this tamale pie, some honey butter on the tamale pie, and then boom. That's your palate cleanser. Because let me tell you, it's not gonna be so nice next time. We're going back to Flowers in the Attic with some children locked up in the attic, half starved, while they mama wilding out partying. Period. Okay, so the case of the scattered cards. Are you ready to discern this? Are y'all ready? Who's ready? Somebody better get ready. At 9 o'clock that night, Encyclopedia climbed into bed. He lay awake. He laid awake for a long time. He thought over what his mother had said about him being a detective when he grew up. In the morning, he made up his mind. He would go into the detective business and help people. Let me help you. I was telling Scott I wanted to open a business called Let Me Help You. What y'all think? People could just give me their stories And I'm gonna help them.
All right.
From my perspective, I'm not saying it's the right answer. It probably isn't, but it might be. I don't know. Just think about that, y'all. Anyway, he wouldn't wait until he grew up. It was summer and school was out. He could begin at once. Encyclopedia got out of bed and searched through his closet. He dug out a toy printing press, a Christmas gift from his Uncle Ben 2 years ago. That's my husband.
Okay.
Because I'm the TT. That's Scott's real name. Scott's just his alias. Should I start calling you by your first name, Ben?
If you want to.
Okay, Ben.
Mm.
As soon as Encyclopedia finished his breakfast, he printed 50 handbills. When the ink was dry, he put the handbills in all the mailboxes in the neighborhood. Then he went home and asked his mother for a big piece of cardboard. She gave him a dress box from the Bon-Ton store, which she had been saving. Encyclopedia borrowed the kitchen shears and cut out a square piece of cardboard. He took a black crayon and carefully lettered the sign. The handbill said, boom. I'm just going to let y'all read it for yourselves. Take your time. No pressure. This is super important because you need to know what was on the sign. Here, Scott, I'm going to share this with you. It's top secret information here.
Okay.
Just take a deep breath. Encyclopedia nailed the sign on the door of the Browns' garage. The next morning, he sat in the garage waiting for someone with a problem to drop in. Nobody dropped in. That's okay, Encyclopedia. When I first got on YouTube, nobody dropped in. Y'all are here, so I thank you. Only the rain. The roof of the garage had a hole in it. Somebody needs to patch that up. Okay, Chief Brown, you need to hire somebody for that.
Guess he lives on that one side of town.
No, they need to patch that up. Rain fell all morning, all afternoon, and all the next day. Encyclopedia stared at the rain and felt lower than a submarine's bottom. Oh, that's sad. Oh, don't give up. Scott's not helpful.
Well, I mean, submarine bottom isn't the lowest thing. It's not like it goes along the floor of the sea.
It kind of does. So you're saying the seafloor is the bottom?
Well, yeah, I mean, the submarine's underwater, but there's still a lot of water underneath it before you get to the bottom.
Anyway, Scott has no empathy. Okay, he thought about taking the sign down and going to see the new teeth Charlie Stewart had added to his collection. Ugh. No, honey, just keep the sign up. You don't know if Charlie Stewart brushed his teeth. You don't know what that little boy do. Anyway, or maybe digging worms with Billy and Jody Turner and fishing off the bridge of Miller Creek. That's a better option there. Suddenly, a pair of rubbers and a raincoat appeared in the doorway. Inside them was a small boy. My name is Clarence Smith, said the boy. I need your help. No case is too small, said Encyclopedia. Is it murder?
All right.
This is your first case. Like, sir, literally, like 2 seconds before that, you were over here feeling like a submarine bottom. And now you done jumped all the way to Murder, She Wrote. Sir, calm down. Calm down. No, said Clarence, backing away. Right. I'm with Clarence. I'm with Clarence. I was like, okay, just calm down. He gonna scare away his one little customer. Kidnapping, sir, you just said Encyclopedia. Blackmail, like, sir, y'all are children. You do realize y'all are children, right? You are not Sherlock yet, sir. You're 10. No, said Clarence weakly. It's a tent. He placed the quarter on the gasoline can beside Encyclopedia. The tent is mine, but the tigers say it's theirs. You are having trouble with talking tigers? Sir, get it together. Encyclopedia is like Scott. They're very literal people. And they just can't. They ain't trying to flow with the in between the line stuff. Ain't that right, Scott? Ben.
I guess so.
Scott Ben. Ben Scott. Oh no, replied Clarence. Tigers, that's the name of the boys' club near the canal. The boys are plenty tough, all of them, but their leader, Bugs Meany, now y'all remember that name because he always around, is the toughest one. Take me to their leader, commanded Encyclopedia, and to your tent. I'll do both, said Clarence. Bugs Meany is sitting in the tent this very minute. After a short walk, the two boys came to the tent. It stood in the woods between the canal and the Pierce junkyard. 6 older boys were sitting around a wooden box inside the tent. They were playing cards. Which one of you is Bugs Meany? Asked Encyclopedia. Me, said the biggest and dirtiest boy. See, ill. I would have came with some bleach and just threw it on them. What's it to you? You are in my tent, squeaked Clarence. I found it. I mended all the holes in it. Squirm, growled Bugs. You know I found the tent in the junkyard, said Clarence. You watched me put it up here last week. Get going, said Bugs. I saw you steal it from our clubhouse this morning. Mind if I come in out of the rain, Encyclopedia said. He ducked inside the tent. One of his feet hit an extra pack of cards lying beside the wooden box. The cards were scattered over the ground. Hey, what's the big idea, said Bugs. The idea is a simple one, said the private detective. You just named yourself private detective. We have escalated quickly. See these cards? They are dry and not the least bit muddy, though I scattered them over the ground. Clarence didn't steal this tent from your clubhouse. Bugs closed his hands in a fist. His chin sprung out like the drawer of a cash register. Do y'all even know what that look like anymore? Because everything tap and card now. If you don't know YouTube, just look on YouTube. Are you calling me a liar? Of course not, said Encyclopedia. I'm going to tell you what I'll tell the police, period. Like, I'm not even about to sit here and play with you. Let me just go and get the police because you tripping, sir. You tripping and you dirty. That's what he should have said. You tripping and you need a bath. Encyclopedia spoke quietly to into the older boy's ear. Bugs listened. His face grew redder and redder. Suddenly he called, "Come on, Tigers, let's get back to the clubhouse. It's no fun here." When the Tigers had left, Clarence said to Encyclopedia, "Gosh, what did you say to Bugs?" Encyclopedia smiled. "I pointed out why you couldn't have stolen the tent from the Tigers clubhouse." How did Encyclopedia notice? Scott, you better be on your grind. Y'all can type in there too. It'll be time stamped.
Must have something to do with them cards.
Okay.
But I don't know.
You don't know how he did it? Scott don't be listening.
Oh.
Scott don't be listening.
Missed the clue.
Scott missed the clue. I knew it, and I didn't even get this far. But okay, y'all ready? Everybody ready? I'm gonna give y'all the answer. This is the lowdown. Okay. This is what he was gonna tell the police, y'all. You ready, Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Bugs Meany said that Clarence had stolen the tent from the Tigers clubhouse this morning. This is the second day of the rain. Therefore, the ground under the tent should have been wet. But when Encyclopedia scattered the cards with his foot, he discovered that the ground inside the tent was dry. This proved that the tent had been put up before the rain, as Clarence claimed, and not during the rain this morning, like Bug said. Period. Nailed it. What did you think, Scott?
It's a blast from the past.
What did you learn, Scott? Did you learn anything? Was there any lessons learned?
When you figure it out, you gotta call LeRoy Jenkins Brown. LeRoy
Jenkins Brown, y'all. Because, Sherlock he's taking a little break right now. He got a little brain fever. because it happens.
He's probably dead for a century.
That too, and he may have alien hand syndrome, like we talked about yesterday. And when your hands just be drifting and doing something and you don't even realize it, you don't even know what's going on. So the lesson I learned today from this, and y'all can put what y'all learned. The lesson I learned today from this is keep an open mind. You know how like Encyclopedia Brown Daddy was all like, whatever, no, it's case closed, we're done. He would have missed out on calling out that little shopkeeper who was over there lying. So keep an open mind. Eat the meat, spit out the bone. If it ain't for you, just act like they ain't even say it. Period. You got anything else?
I got nothing else. I was glad to hear some Encyclopedia Brown.
Well, we'll come in and just do like 1 or 2 stories periodically. I don't know when, because we're random around here. So with that, I bid you guys good night. I hope y'all enjoyed. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. See, boom, I took care of business. Right. And from wherever I am to wherever you are, peace, love, happiness. And yeah, TT gotta go, honey. TT gotta put some honey butter on her tamale pie and gets to eating. So I bid you guys adieu. Bye, y'all.